It's tips and tricks time. Hey, tips and tricks time. We're gonna show some tips and maybe not, well, probably not some tricks. It's tips and tricks time. It's tips and tricks time. Hey, now I got a theme song and some of it rhymes. Hey, okay. Hey everyone, it's Ryan here, doing tips and tricks live session here because we're coming up on the end of what has been a joyful little series, three-part series of opening up boxes of magic books, and I have, sadly, one box left. I just hit myself in the face with my sweater string. But a professional just ignores that and moves on, so let's get to the books. They are over here. Of course, with any magic studio, obviously you keep your box of books underneath a bag of rings. Let's find a spot for those. And, okay. You know, last week, I guess, was the last one I did, and I think I strained my arm when I threw this box, cavalierly off to the side. I'm just not as strong as I maybe think I am. Clark, again, hey Clark, thanks for tuning in. Clark is a dedicated Unbooxing fan. He's been here for all 3 episodes. Welcome back, Clark. And there is no further choice to be made. There's only one box remaining, so open this up. Once again, these came to me I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and these came to me from the west coast of Canada, the Fraser Valley Magic Club in British Columbia, Canada, held an auction recently, and some of the lots in the auction were those like assorted, I shouldn't put that up, that blocks my microphone, the assorted magic books, which I'm a sucker for assorted magic books because inside is going to be all sorts of interesting things. You know, it's the books that you don't know that are going to surprise you. I mean, by definition, if you don't know, it's going to be surprising. But I usually find it's a positive thing. So, being an assorted lot, I really do not know what is inside this box. And we are here together to find out. I think this one, like, I don't really know what was what, but I think this one was listed as, like, literally box of books. Very little pictures at all, so. And while you're here joining in, you're welcome to comment, type in on the Facebooks, let me know you're here. You can make comments on the YouTube, and I'm able to see them live. So if you have any thoughts or ideas or recommendations, if you see a book that you love or you know, I'm all ears to hear your recommendations of things to check out. I appreciate you being here for this grand adventure. Book looks like more hardcover books here compared to the last one, which was a lot of little booklets. This seems to be a lot more hardcovers, so this won't take as long. Less books to cover. Still, again, thank you, Glenn Labar. Wonderful job packing. Everything's neatly bagged and protected from the elements. And wonderful. Let's see what is inside. This is like packages within the box. It's just extra layers of delight and surprise. Okay, package number 1. What have we got here? I recognize this one. George Schindler's Magic with Everyday Objects. This is one of those kind of, regular, like public bookstore kind of books, beginner books. A lot of beginner tricks. But I don't think I have this one. And I love beginner magic books because over the years of teaching magic and developing magic classes and courses, going through beginner magic books, I have probably got more repertoire from that, like professional repertoire from these than professional magic books, because the magic is so simple and so direct. I personally, it appeals to me to be able to perform and present that kind of magic. On the other end of the spectrum, here we have The Mental Magic of Basil Horwitz, Volume 4. I'm good with my Roman numerals. Volume 4. Now, obviously, I have to track down the other 3 volumes. Are there more? Are there more after 4? This is, see, it's a slippery slope. This comes from Martin Brees. There is volumes 1, 2, and 3, obviously. But of course, being in the future, it makes no mentions of future volumes. Interesting. We were talking last week when we did the second unboxing how I'm becoming an accidental mentalist. So this will be actually based on the books from last time I've been reading through, and there was some books on where are they here? Specifically. Stephen Minch had a booklet about these ESP cards, you know, the classic ESP cards, and a whole bunch of routines using these, and it got me thinking, I think I've developed this whole set of tricks and routines using these specifically for Zoom performances and presenting it as an experiment to see if that thought connection can go through a camera. So I'm not just collecting books, I am reading them and getting ideas from them. So more on that coming soon. All right, let's see what else is in here. Oh, I recognize this one even through the plastic. It's hard to see on the camera. See the back full of autographs? I have this book, I think, in paperback reprint form. I don't want to cut it. I don't want to risk cutting the book here. But this is a great book. My Best, collected by J.G. Thompson, and it's got all the signatures of the magicians who contributed. So let's see if you recognize some of these names. R.C. Buff, Ed Wolf, Eddie Cleaver, Julian Proschauer, Maury Kynes, Jack McMillan, famous 5-ring routine, Raymond Beale, Dick Medow, Arnold Bruley, Tommy Windsor, I recognize that one. Of course, the famous die box routine. Loring Campbell. Anyway, ton of. This is the era. Honestly, this is the era of books that I love. Magic from about 1920 to 1950 is, like, in my opinion, the golden era of magic for me, because that's the nightclub era, where magic went from being on the big stage to being on the dance floor to the little stage. The primary market of magic went from being big stage magic to what we now call parlor magic. And so that golden era of 1920 to 1950, most of the magic in books is for that venue, which is my favorite venue to perform. So that's why I love books. Ooh, bonus. What is this? I love it when there's little handwritten things in books. Also, fantastic handwriting. I'm envious of that. This appears to be a table of contents. Yes. A handwritten table of contents for My Best. And man, look at that handwriting. Very, very nice handwriting. And there's even a little post-it note, because obviously they ran out of space. Tiny, tiny writing, but still very clear. I like finding little things like that. The previous owners and how they studied and worked with the books. I'm not a collector of books, so I absolutely love it when people write in margins and make notes in the books, because it's like a little conversation with someone about that book. Anyway, moving on. One I recognize, one in a plain brown wrapper. I have no idea what to expect. This 13 Steps by Corinda was actually a book I got pretty early on in my magic life, and way beyond my level at the time. Like, I read this and it's like, what is, it's like just nonsense, like weird things that didn't really understand at the time, but still, it's a really thick book, not physically thick, but like dense book. Hard to get into, but lots of neat little things in there. And then the Book of Unknown. Oh, it's not a plain brown wrapper. It is just a brown book. A very old one. I don't know, I recognize this title. The Art of Modern Conjuring. Let's see what we can learn about this. It's falling apart on me a little bit. These old books, some of them were made quite cheaply. Published by Ward, Locke and Co. in London and Melbourne. I have no idea on the date of this. It's got all the usual. Honestly, books of this era, it was a lot of the same kind of stuff. Well, it's interesting. This has photographic plates slipped in. Let me hold this where it doesn't fall apart on me. Photographic plates instead of illustrations. That's unusual for a book of this age. Chapter 6, Tricks with Chemicals. You know, you just pop down to the drugstore and get yourself some, you know, sodium clybargonate. Easier said than done now. Here's a pack of hardcover something or others. They're all the same size. I wonder if it's a series of something. No, definitely not a series. They're all different. Oh, I did know this was going to be in here. This is a book I've actually been wanting to get for a while. Dean is getting racy here in the comments. It's just a plastic bag. It's just a plastic bag, Dean. It's all right. John Fisher's Body Magic. So this is all magic that uses no props, absolutely nothing. And it's like, if you've heard of Lulu Hurst, Georgia Magnet, that sort of like strength stunts and stuff is in here. I see Dean's mentioning my mic is a bit low. I'll try and speak up for the benefit of the audience here. Anyhow, I was looking for that one for a while, so happy to find that one. What do we got? Ooh, Harry Lorraine. Oh, there's the front cover. Harry Lorraine Afterthoughts. Interesting. It's got a little corner there, and it's got the matching card on the back. And obviously, Harry Lorraine, worth the price of the box. This book is worth the price of the box, is what he would tell me. Louis Ganson, Art of Close-Up Magic. I had volume 1. This is volume 2. I had volume 1, and as a kid, I loved it. I have since reacquired the book, so this is now a duplicate. I'll figure out what to do with it. The John Booth Classics. Canadian magician. I don't know if he was born in or just growing up in Hamilton, Ontario, which is not far from where I live now. And he has, of course, toured the world and shared many, many stories of his magical adventures. He's a fantastic writer. If you haven't read John Booth books, just like, they're all weird topics. They're all over the map. He talks about absolutely everything in magic, but really interesting to read. John Booth books. It's a lot of history, but it's like his personal experience with magic history. And I was traveling in India and I saw this. sort of thing. A Leipzig book written by Louis Ganson. I'm a sucker for any Louis Ganson books. One of my favorite authors in magic. Now, this is another one of those beginner's books, The Complete Guide to Conjuring by Ian Adair. But Ian Adair is a brilliant guy. He's maybe easy to overlook because a lot of his magic may seem simple, but I think he invented literally like 2,000 or more tricks, invented and published over 2,000 tricks. Brilliant guy, super simple ideas. So I'm excited to get into this beginner's book because I bet it's going to have a lot of stuff I haven't seen before. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. All right, I see some comments coming in. Dean says he loves the body magic, but he loves the book, Body Magic. Yeah, Dean is the kind of guy who uses this stuff to like, he's a speaker primarily, and this stuff can transform. It can be a transformative moment. You can give someone strength like that, and you can use that to really exemplify a lesson. Yeah, I do feel a little bit like a magic bandit here, because it's just so many delights. Yeah, Frank is... Yeah, be able to fool everyone with the Lorraine book, because he is, of course, the greatest author and inventor and teacher and creator of magic of all time. Is one of his credits. And Clark, who is a good authority on card magic books, says the Leipzig book is one of his favorites. Awesome. I honestly haven't really got into that one much. I think I'm trying to remember, is it this one that has the sympathetic cards in it? Yes, I think it is. I think... Yeah, Sympathetic 13 is in here. So I just got this book because it's one of the Supreme Magic ones that was, if they found the warehouse or the container of all these old Supreme books and they started selling them again. And so I did buy a copy of this, but it was just before I moved. So I didn't really get a chance to dig into it before I had to sell it in order to move. So I can get back to where I left off with that. I was at the time researching the sympathetic cards and got into that one. All right, let's see what else. We're getting into, looks like a whole bunch of magazines and then some other stuff. Let me just set that aside because I need more space. All right, I think this is a box of a bag of mostly magazines, but we'll see what is in here. Yeah, Dean agrees with me. The Ian Adair book will be a gold mine of ideas. Simple little ideas that I can adapt. And, yeah. So, Magic magazines, as I said, and they're a souvenir from the Ravine show. Most people know Ravine as a hypnotist, but when he toured, he did, like a lot of hypnotists do, a full illusion show and then hypnosis as the second half of the show. Let's see if there's any pictures in here of him doing illusions as well. Maybe not. Not in this souvenir program, at least. He's doing a blindfold drive. Oh, here we go. Here's the program of things that he did in this particular show. High-speed photographic memory, the magic square, mental telepathy, extrasensory perception, and introduction to hypnosis, mesmerism, mass mesmerism, hypnotic induction, hypnotic illusion, high-speed hypnosis, personality changing, the therapeutic use of hypnosis, and post-hypnotic suggestion. That obviously doesn't give away actually anything of what he did. Interesting. Souvenir booklet from his show. We've got an MUM magazine, Johnny Thompson there. This looks like a program from the SAM. I'm showing the microphone. Can you hear that? Can you hear that book? SAM convention program. And again, Dean is excited about the Ravine program because Dean himself is a hypnotist, or has been. What hasn't Dean done? This one actually was in another box. This was a convention from the area these books came from. So obviously there was a lot of those floating around. Alan Sands lecture notes. Alan is the son of George Sands, who of course is very well known in the magic world for his rope sensational. Alan Sands has been continuing the legacy of his dad, being a performer. So definitely, there's definitely rope magic in here. Cool. Random papers. Another MUM magazine. Oh, funny. So Chris Randall's on the cover of this one. I've met Chris over the years at a couple of conventions, and he's a Vegas magician. And I was watching a show from the Wellington Magic Club, and they just put out their holiday show, and it was starring Chuck Jones, the illusionist. Chuck Jones, inventor of the Mismade Lady, and showing performance clips throughout his career. And he had some performance clips of his Vegas shows, and I'm watching him do his version of the barricaded barrels, and suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, the stagehand dressed all in black, pushing the barrels around, and I look closer, and it is Chris Randall as the stagehand doing in the Vegas show, which makes perfect sense. Oh, Dean is giving a little insight here on Ravine. Ravine loved doing his Big Illusion show, but it cost him so much he had to do his mind magic show to pay for it. Oh, that is a familiar plight for magicians. Have to have a real job to afford our magic job. Yeah, I have a friend, Shelby, in Edmonton, who used to tour with Ravine. He was basically his stage manager, an illusion designer and builder. And he would go on tour with them, and he was like, at the end of the tour, he was the only one that had any money in his pocket, because he was of that gang. He was the one that was responsible with money. So sometimes he had to get his fellow tour mates out of a jam. But we're not, this is, if you're in it for profit, you're in the wrong business. Dean says he ended up with lots of his old Big Illusions because he'd need to sell them off. He'd need to get rid of them. Move on. We got more MUM magazines. John Truck. And I don't know who that is. It looks like charity shows. More MUM. Oh, here's an old one. I don't see very many of these. Laugh Makers magazine. I don't know that I've ever actually seen one of these in person. I've certainly heard of it. Laugh Makers magazine, the variety arts magazine for family entertainers. And of course, David Copperfield with his duck. What a duo. What a comedy duo they were. Interesting. Another SAM convention program. And, ooh, this is a piece of magic history. Anyone recognize that? The Magic Hostel, a Weenie Mobile. This is a bunch of nonsense. Like an advertisement for lice bowls and various things. And an advertisement for the penetrating wiener trick. So this was a group of, at that time, anonymous people who created this parody of Genie magazine. And it's a very similar format. If you're familiar with Genie of that era, very similar format. And, you know, they have... it was the Vernon Touch at the time, and this is Vernon Touched column. The funniest thing about this is that they went to the exact same printer, the exact same printing company that did Genie, because they wanted it to be like the exact same format, the same paper. So they went to the same company and they said, we want the cover to be in like this hot dog color. And apparently, as the story goes, the next month's edition of Genie, they went to the printer and they said to, you know, Bill Larson, I guess would have been doing it at the time, and he said, what color do you want for the cover this month? And apparently Bill said, whatever color is already on the press. And it was this hot dog color. So the following edition of Genie magazine is printed in the exact same color ink. Apparently. I haven't confirmed that. That's the story that I've heard. June 1982, if you want to look that up. What will be the July 1982 edition of Genie? All right, a couple more. It looks like a few more MUM magazines. So I've actually never read an MUM magazine. I've never been a member of the Society of American Magicians. And in fact, out in the west coast of Canada is perhaps the only SAM assembly in Canada. They have one in Vancouver, so this obviously came from one of the members out there in Vancouver. That is precarious. Okay, there's one last little bundle of books, and let's see. Yeah, anonymous, no longer anonymous. At the time, they did try to be anonymous. This is it. We've come to the end. And before I get to whatever is in this bundle, I would like to make my public service announcement. Because just today, I was watching a video from Jeff Kowak, who does erudite magic book reviews. I honestly haven't seen any of his reviews. I'm not really into watching reviews. But he posted a video today about why you should have a big magic library. And this for me is representing rebuilding my library that I used to have before I moved. And it kind of struck a chord with me because since there once was a time when, yeah, I would try and hoard magic books, or not hoard, but like try and just gather magic books together. But I think it's a dangerous pursuit sometimes, and I especially don't agree with saying you should do that. Or, you know, somehow saying magicians need to have a big library, because I don't believe that at all. I don't think collecting books or owning books, you don't absorb the knowledge just by owning them. It doesn't work that way. You do need to put in the effort. And that effort to be a good magician is independent of the books. It has nothing to do with the books. So you don't need to own books to be a good magician, and owning books does not make a good magician. So I want to, you know, I get excited about magic books, absolutely. But I do want to be clear that this is not the way. This is not the only path in magic. I love being able to piece all the ideas together because that's how my brain works. I'm going to soak this up and it's all going to go into a blender and something else is going to come out. And so I love being able to read all these books. But I absolutely do not want to suggest that, oh, because you can't pose with your shelves of books behind you, that you are less than a magician. You got to go out there and perform magic. Well, don't go out there and perform magic right now. It's not safe. But to be a magician, you have to perform magic and love magic, and it has nothing to do with books. So there's my message. Now let's see what else I got. Hmm? Okay. I have no idea what this is. It's probably not even magic related. Oh, yes, it is. I've never heard of this at all. It is called the West Coast Quarterly. I thought this looked like a cookbook or something. The West Coast Quarterly, winter 1984. And published by Nelson and Nelson, Studio City, California. One of those Nelsons is Earl Nelson, Variations guy. This has contributions from such people as Larry Jennings, Ed Marlowe, Dia Vernon. I'm not making that up. It says right there. Dia Vernon. Phil Goldstein, Mike Weber, Shigeo Tagachi, Earl Nelson, Frank Simon, Ray Grismer, Dave Grippenwald. That's some heavy hitting close-up magicians in here. And yet I have never heard of this. So cool beans. Look forward to checking that out. Yeah, Dean brings up a great point. Yeah, you don't have to read all these books, but you absolutely can take advantage of those who do. Not take advantage. For example, I love reading books. I love reading history of magic, and I've soaked up a lot. If you have any questions, I'd love to chat about it. You can talk to me. If you're working on something and you'd love to hear about maybe other ideas that are out there, let's talk about it. So yes, use the resources of the magic community. Just don't feel like you have to necessarily own them. It's not that important. The Bernstein Center Tear Technique. I believe most of these books came from the collection of I'm blanking on his name. Steve. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking of all the Magic Steves I know, and I'm not getting the right guy. Anyway, this will come to me later on, and I'll yell. But last time in the box, there was like a dozen different books all about center tear. Yet I have no memory of ever seeing him perform anything center tear. So I guess it was just a fascination, but I don't know that. I mean, I didn't see him perform very often, but interesting. Leo Boudreau's Spirited Pasteboards. I'm guessing this is somehow bizarre magic related. Very complicated codes for cards in here. That seems like well beyond the ability of my brain. Steve, thank you, Randy. Steve Dixon is the Steve. Fantastic magician, passed away this year. Oh my goodness, yeah, this is complex stuff. Look at this is just page after page of formulas for cards. I will read it. I will read it. I added a few symbols to help simplify the explanation. We'll see. We will see. Man, this is just like 200 pages of oh, wait a minute. That may explain some of it. Introduction by Max Maven. So you know, if Max Maven is interested in this stuff, it's probably advanced stuff. This one's falling apart too. Ian Rowland, Mentalism Lecture Notes. I know Ian mostly from his, he makes these crazy cool, I don't even know what to call them. Like, he cuts playing cards into impossible objects, I guess is the way to put it. Mentalism. Last week, my friend Rick Allen stopped by and I mentioned Bob Nelson. Here's The Art of Cold Reading, Robert Nelson. I'm sure Rick is very familiar with that. And the last one from the Al Mann exclusive series, The Third Ecstasy, Fabulous Card Feats for the Mentalist. And me being an accidental mentalist, I can look forward to some fantastic card feats. Wait a minute, is that just another way to sell card tricks? To people who don't necessarily already know them? Interesting. I'm on to you, Al Mann. Al Mann kind of sounds like a fake name that you'd give under like pressure. Like, excuse me, sir, what's your name? Al. Last name? Man. Anyway, that is it for this final episode of Unboxing. Again, I have so much to work on now over the coming months and years, and my goal is to synthesize all of this and, as I said, churn it up into something new, and that will be the raw material, the fuel for future episodes of tips and tricks. Already from last week, I was reading one of the Max Maven lecture notes from 1986, and he had a trick in there called currency exchange. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. It's a bank night style idea, but it's in the context of this game, like trading, like a Christmas gift exchange kind of game. And it gave me a cool idea, combined with another idea I was reading from another old set of lecture notes from Ali Bongo, who had this paper folding prediction kind of thing. And anyway, that's what I'm talking about. You take an idea from over here, combine it with an idea over here. So yes, there's value in owning books as long as you're reading books, but it's more about the reading than it is the owning. Nowadays, there's so much magic books online. I subscribe to Ask Alexander database, which is more books than I can possibly read. They just don't look pretty on your shelf. That's the only difference. So, all this and more coming soon to tips and tricks near you. All right. Thank you, and good evening, good afternoon, good night. I can't find my mouse. Panic! Al, man. Found it. Bye-bye.